What's up, gamers? Rainy Potato here to talk about the upcoming DLC, The Binding Blades, for Darkest Dungeon 2, including the new Crusader, the returning Crusader, and we'll sort of theorycraft what we might potentially see from the Crusader based off information we have already and his Darkest Dungeon 1 kit. So the Binding Blade will contain 2 new heroes, the new Duelist, and of course the returning Crusader. They're both full heroes. Red Hook already said the Bounty Hunter is the only hero that's going to be like the Bounty Hunter. Everyone else that we get is going to be, complete with trinkets, pads, hero shrines. So we'll get Reynold backstory, which is cool. This is the interesting thing to note. I think the first interesting thing to note. The Binding Blade will see you mastering the Ruthless Duelist, battling through barricades, and seeking clues that will lead you to the last of the Crusaders. So it sounds like the Duelist will be unlocked normally through the Altar of Hope, or ideally, will just come unlocked at base with the DLC. The Crusader will require some in-game mechanism to unlock. Something, I don't know, you got to find him or something, which sounds like a very interesting idea to me. In my opinion, they need to add more of this type of stuff that to make each run more spicy, have like some sort of mission throughout each run, just more endgame content. But it'll be interesting to see how this is implemented. Obviously the Warlord will be a roaming mini boss. My guess is you have to fight the Warlord to get the Crusader. Just sounds correct, the Warlord. But new mini boss. And about the Crusader himself, the Crusader has returned, blah, blah, blah. This battle-hardened knight is fueled by a radiant holy fire and will smite his foes where they stand. Hopefully this means he has fire. Red Hook knows we need more fire characters. Hopefully this is a fire character. Vestal obviously has one fire skill, sort of, but not really. Hopefully we get real fire. Hopefully they're not trolling us here. The Crusader is a well-rounded front-rank hero who can withstand punishing blows, support his team with healing and stress recovery, rend his opponents with his righteous blade. So his stress healing and HP healing skills will return, it sounds like, which is good because we really need a front-row hero that can heal. Vestal can't really heal from front and can't do anything from rank 1. Flagellant can heal, but is sort of like a rank... More so a rank 2. I guess he can heal from rank 1. But this just gives us more options in healing and stress recovery. Hopefully, Crusader can also play backline with Holy Lance. Hopefully that skill returns. And they can interact with the Duelist that way. The game still lacks a rank 4 dedicated direct damage dealer that's really strong. You can play certain characters there, but they're not really... It's basically just Plague Doctor, Runaway, and that's it. And they're dot damage dealers. So hopefully, going forward, we'll get some focus on damage. So let's go to Darkest Dungeon 1. Let's talk about what we think Reynold will be. No, he's going to be slow. Going to be big HP. Of course, I assume Smite will be returning. It literally said Smite in the thing. Every character has just a base attack. I assume this will just be a base attack. There are a lot of things they could do with Smite, though. Could, ignore block. Could remove block. They could make it a fire skill if they really want to go all in on Reynold being a fire character. My guess is it'll just be a base damage. Would be very interesting, though. Obviously, in DD1, it had the damage against Unholy. We don't really have that in Darkest Dungeon 2. Like, damage against specific... There are quirks, of course, that do damage against specific enemies. It would be very interesting to see, like, a character that is focused on, like, the tank. You could give it damage against like Gaunt and Cadaver, or just Gaunt, would be sort of interesting. Gaunt would be interesting because they're more common with road fights being available in every region. So it'd be sort of interesting to have one character that does a little bit better in one region, like Reynolds. So maybe they could add something like that. Otherwise, I'm just happy with a base attack. Crusader will probably not be like a big damage dealer. He was more of like, you know, stunner, utility, stuff like that in Darkest Dungeon 1, just big tank. And with tanks being even more prominent in Darkest Dungeon 1 with Taunt, my guess is he won't be like, you know, he's not going to be Ravager Hellion or even, you know, Tempest Leper, but some sort of damage, of course. Now, Zealous Accusation, this is a skill that would also make sense as like a burn. Get sort of a front row combo burn, sort of like a Dragonfly. Otherwise, just a AoE front row doesn't really excite me at all. I mean, Zealous Accusation really wasn't exciting at all in DD1 either. It was just something you used maybe if you wanted to do, get a kill, and I rarely equipped it really. But I also used back row Crusader in DD1. So hopefully we know they're adding burn, either an entirely new skill to use burn, because of course there are 11 skills in Darkest Dungeon 2 compared to the 7 here. But if they bring back Zealous Accusation, this would be the place to bring some burn. And of course we have the stun. Obviously there's no stuns, are not as common in Darkest Dungeon 2. But we do have Rampart, of course. This will likely be similar to Rampart, stun on combo and or daze. It would also be interesting, the Flagellant has no combo. The Vestal has no combo application. I guess some paths in the Flagellant have combo. But it would be nice to have a combo character. So like if, say, Zealous Accusation can do combo, maybe upgraded Stunning Blow could do combo. Anything to make, these 3 skills more exciting if they bring them back. But a stun on combo is good, in my opinion. There are a lot of combos, if you're pairing your Crusader with Dismas, point blank shot into stun on a big character, or, you run with a Man-at-Arms with strategic withdrawal, or you run with a Jester. Jester would be nice. I mean, Jester's always great with any sort of combo generating team. So that's Stunning Blow. Now, Bulwark of Faith. In Darkest Dungeon 1, Mark didn't mean that much. Certain enemies would always target a marked character, but generally they did more damage against Mark. And otherwise, there was a lot of ignoring. In Darkest Dungeon 2, Taunt exists, and Taunt is incredibly powerful. And I mean, they have to bring back Bulwark, right? Like, Crusader has to be a tank, and Crusader has to be a taunt tank. Prot does not exist anymore. So, very similar to like Withstand, or is that the only one that gains block? And I mean, Retribution does riposte, but I don't think they're going to add riposte to Reynald. So yeah. Bulwark likely to be a taunt. Probably gain block. Now, of course, they could go way outside the box. The Duelist sounds like it's way outside the box. We know the Duelist has special unique tokens, and the Flagellant, of course, played completely different, and the Vestal also had special tokens. So is the Crusader going to be basic like he was in DD1? Probably not. Everything they've added had some sort of, unique mechanic. But I would also guess, we're going to have these base skills. We already know, they're doing the healing. We probably know they're going to have a base attack. And there's no way they can add a tank without taunt. Which is why, now maybe it gives, who knows what I doubt they're going to copy, you know, Withstand, which does block. But then we have healing. Is this going to be a basic heal again? Probably not. I would like, honestly, a basic heal. That's my problem with you know... The Plague Doctor can just heal, right? You also have the super heals. But, you know, they just have a basic heal. Under 50%, you heal. And that's what makes the Plague Doctor so much stronger. The Occultist, of course, in the recent patch that they buffed him, he's now stronger, but it's still an RNG heal. The Vestal has Divine Grace, which has a lower standard. It has a stricter threshold, 33% on upgrade. And then they, of course, have the mantra heals, and they have regen. It would actually be interesting to have just a flat regen. Flagellant has a regen ability, but it's very small, and it also hurts him, which is a Flagellant mechanic, but also, you know. Vestal also has regen, party regen with a long cooldown. Would be interesting to see maybe a regen type thing. Especially if, I don't know, I'd just like to see more regen. It would also makes lower HP characters more viable. There are a lot of things that make lower HP characters more viable, but regen, of course, that's the thing with regen, is it's also very bad against higher. But I would be happy, you know, I'm happy with a basic character. You have a few fancy abilities. Because, you know, in DD2, I still run, I mean, Flagellant, I'll run Flagellant. They're not that fancy, but I don't really run Vestal that much. I don't run characters that require setup. I hate Physician, Plague Doctor. I hate any sort of setup. It's just not good. They either need to reduce, you know, aggressive styles, make it so just spamming dots and spamming nukes, easy to use nukes, unlike super hard to set up nukes, like Courageous Abandon. They either need to make the game more difficult, or they need to just accept the game is going to be simple and give us a simple, basic heal to go along, make Crusader, you know, one of the better characters in the game, as opposed to, you know, every other healer that's tried to come up against Plague Doctor has just been inferior. Holy Lance, they did not mention any sort of back row. They just said he's a front row. He's going to smack you in the face, and he's going to do his support stuff. Hopefully Holy Lance comes back so he can do some dancing. With Duelist being a dancing character and dancing teams being a little weak, this would also be a good opportunity for burn. Just a big burn nuke. And if you're doing it like that, maybe it had to be front two to sort of make it less spammy. But that's one thing dancing characters don't do. I guess Dragonfly does burn. But otherwise, if you run a dancing team, you're really missing out on dots. And dots, especially with Death's Door, the new Death Armor mechanic. And basically, you know, dots are just king in DD2. Hopefully we can get, you know, some dancing burn. Would be really nice. So Holy Lance would really be nice as a nuke plus a burn. No, that would be a great skill. How do you balance it? Like I said, cooldowns or, you know, forward 3 would be kind of interesting. Although that might be too powerful too, because that's shuffle protection. But like, you know, a big damage nuke and a little dot at the end. That's something we're missing too, right? We don't have any new, you know, all of the good dot skills are very low damage and then decent dot. I would really like a, you know, a big damage nuke that also hits a dot. Of course, that's not that greatly balanced, but it's for that's for the devs to figure out. My job isn't to balance. My job is to rant. And of course, Inspiring Cry. Now, this would be an interesting spot for a regen. A of course, more stress healing is always welcome. Right now you have Man-at-Arms with Bolster, and you have the Jester, Inspiring Tune, as your two main stress heals. Flagellant sort of has a stress heal, although you don't really want Flagellant. Flagellant is better, you know, doing toxic rather than melting down, but you still don't want the toxic in random fights because of relationships. Inspiring Cry, you know, can just be a stress heal. It'd probably be too strong with Regen. I just want Regen somewhere. Anyway, those are the basic skills. I would like Crusader, you know, like I said, he's not going to be, you know, Leper smacking you in the face. Unless they add, you know, Gaunt or Cadaver stuff. You know, Smite's not going to be... Smite is good in, you know, the Ruins in Dark Zone 1. Otherwise, Crusader you run... Same with Holy Lance. Otherwise, Crusader you generally run as, you know, kind of a front row tank, stunner. Not going to be a stunner in DD2 because stunning isn't as viable. So hopefully he's just more of a tank and support. As far as his camping skills, some of these have been added, right? Like Raucous Revelry is in the game as a skill. So we can look here. Unshakable Leader. Like I said, these could all be... You could make Reynaud a big buff guy. You know, big tank that does buffing to the characters. Unshakable Leader could be another taunt, you know. Taunt him. You know what would be interesting? I just thought of. What if you get a taunt and then like a strength token to a random or a crit token or a strength token to all your allies, and in return he gets like a Vaughn or something. You know, he gets taunt, he gets Vaughn. So that's downside, and then gets to upgrade his allies. That's an interesting idea. Stand Tall, this could also work very well as a taunt sort of skill. We don't have anything that removes mortality debuffs. And that exists as Death Blow. Death Blow doesn't have permanent debuffs, but Meltdowns do. So this would be kind of interesting. There are a lot of ideas for buffs. This could also... You know, be another heal. If they don't go make this a heal, maybe we go regular heal and regen. Zealous Speech, another skill that could be, you know, if they go Inspiring Cry in another direction, make this like a pure buff. Because that could be actually interesting. You know, just give a random sort of like Emboldening Vapors, just give it to a buff. Zealous Speech could be like a Raucous Revelry. Ideally, we get, you know, a 2-point stress heal. Not AoE, obviously, but on 1. Because that's what Raucous Revelry lacks, and what makes Hellion not really viable as a main stress healer. So that would be interesting. Of course, Zealous Vigil. Like, all these could be, you know, taunts. Zealous Vigil could be like a self-buff. Like I said, hopefully we get some sort of burn. My guess is he's just not going to be doing back row stuff. Didn't really do back row stuff except for Holy Lance and DD1. So hopefully get maybe some burn here. Either burn or combo. Like I said, ideally for me, Holy Lance would be like a burn plus nuke. Like a 1-point burn with a nuke. Well, we know we're going to get some sort of healing. I really just want boring healing. Or, you know... going in an entirely different direction, if you're going to do unique stuff like you've done for the last few characters, you could make Crusader... maybe that'd be too strong if he's the only one that can manipulate light. Or at the very least, based on light would be very interesting. Because that would make things like Despairing Flame interesting. Like if some of his skills... It wouldn't be all of them, because that would be... If you can't control the light... like you could in DD1, that would make it too weird. But like, give like 3 of his skills something to do with light levels. You you know, either Light Crusader or Dark Crusader. You know, Light Crusader be big nuker, Dark Crusader, you know, do more damage. There are a lot of possibilities. We're going to find out in December sometime. Like I said, I'll update more once we get more updates. Otherwise, I'm going to keep continuing with my Darkest Dungeon modded run until we get to release day. Thank you all for listening to my ramblings. Let me know in the comments what sort of skills you're hoping for in Darkest Dungeon 2. And what sort of, you know, what you would like to see out of the Crusader. Thank you for watching, and good night.